Hey, so are you someone who suffers from the fear of commitment? Well, in this video, we're going to be diving into exactly where that comes from and how to shift this scripted paradigm that's keeping a lot of people stuck with being in this kind of limbo of not being able to make a decision around certain partners that they're with or decisions around certain life events that they know that they should be making. So stay tuned, and we're going to talk about the new paradigm of how you can shift that, especially if you're with somebody that you know you really want to be with, but there's something unconsciously stopping you and holding you back. So the first thing is, I think we should really dive into exactly where this fear of commitment comes from and how it could be really destroying your ability to feel free in your relationships right now. So like 99% of our issues that as adults we have to almost reparent and refocus and almost shift in our minds about what's happened in our past and what's happened in our childhoods. Commitment, or the fear of or lack of commitment, comes from what we experienced growing up. Normally, there's two types of households, right? One household is one that's really focused on intimacy and love and really allowing the child to grow up in a way that they can be fully loved for who they are and not trying to control exactly who they are. And the other household, predominantly where most people grow up in, and I know that I've really experienced, is this household of control, where it's like you feel like you've had to grow up really fast and you feel like you have to become very responsible at a very young age. Now, with that responsibility, it's almost like you have to feel that you have to be in complete control of your environment at all times in order for you to feel safe. You weren't allowed to be imperfect. You weren't allowed to make mistakes. You weren't allowed to do anything that your guardian or parent felt wasn't perfect based off of their definition of what perfect is. So what happens is we tend to lose trust. We're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the parent. We're 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the guardian that we feel like should trust us and love us for who we are. And we feel like we can't completely commit to trusting them and having them be in our life to give us the love that we need. So we create this kind of safe barrier, and we create this form of control where it's like we have to behave certain ways to try to earn or gain their trust. And it's a never-ending cycle. The fear of commitment actually has a very underlying condition behind it. So what's really going on is we're afraid that we're going to lose something. And predominantly, we're very unconscious to what we think we're going to lose. Primarily, this loss is something that you think is going to impact you in such a way where that you're not going to have that sense of control that you've been trying to create all of your life. And the primary motivator to not be committed to something is because you think that there's going to be a loss of freedom. And with that loss of freedom, you're not going to have a choice. There's a loss of choice. So if you think about this from a perspective where there's not this environment of love, unconditional love, to allow you to be who you want, to allow you to make the mistakes that you're going to make, and regardless, love you for who you are, you're going to feel that every decision you make may or may not be correct. So therefore, it's going to be hard to make decisions. You're almost going to have this sort of freezing type of effect where you feel as if you make the wrong decision, something really bad's going to happen, and the love that you are seeking is going to be taken away from you. So instead of fighting or trying to run away, or instead of trying to basically control the scenario in a way where like you need to sit and do nothing, you freeze so that you don't make a decision. And that decision actually allows you to feel safe by not making any sort of decision. That's where this fear of commitment really comes from. We feel that we're not going to be able to really truly be who we want to be, even though there's this deep-rooted subconscious desire to be in a relationship that is intimate, that is completely secure, but we feel that we're going to suffocate. We feel that that person's going to throw these expectations on us that we're not going to be able to meet, and therefore we're better off not making a decision, therefore not losing any options, and therefore keeping ourselves in this place of freedom. And that's genuinely the facade. That is literally what's stopping a lot of people from having fully committed decisions and fully committed relationships, and being in these half-hearted relationships where we feel like we need to constantly be keeping the partner at arm's length so that, they don't suffocate us and they don't keep us in this kind of trap that we've experienced growing up. So I personally really believe that this fear of commitment, especially in relationships, is completely connected to a lack of love within ourselves that we weren't able to receive from the guardians or parents that we wanted. So think about it like this. If you are in this kind of state where you freeze when you are presented with a position to be fully committed to somebody or something, feel like you can't make a choice because something may or may not go wrong, and you may lose freedom, or you may end up looking a certain way. What's really going on is you want to keep options open for yourself because you feel that the person that you're receiving love from is genuinely not good enough to give you the amount of love that you need. And the only reason you want more options is because you think that you may need more scenarios or situations of love or partners or intimacy in order for you to receive the love that you feel like you need, because the partner that you have right now or the situation that you have right now may not be enough. And if you think about it, it's never going to be enough because you never will know what enough is, because outside of you, your external environment is governing how you want to be felt inside. It's dictating the lack of love that you want inside, whether you're trying to control the scenario or situation or your partner in order for you to feel the love that you need. Now, the other part of this is, in my personal life, I really experienced that we grow up mimicking or modeling the relationships that we saw. So for me, I really realized that for the longest period of time, I was basically in a relationship with myself. What that means is I had modeled the relationship that I viewed growing up with my parents, where, they're in a very traditional household, very traditional type of relationship where, the man is the provider and the woman is the supporter. But it was almost like the man has all his needs being met from the woman, and the woman is taken for granted in a way where she's only there as supplementary to give exactly what the man needs, but the man is never going to be fully satisfied with her. And for me, now this might sound bizarre and it might sound really backwards, but this is very common in a lot of households. So what happens is we end up growing up with these models of what a relationship is and then mimicking what they were doing at an unconscious level until we break that pattern. We begin to see, okay, who are we being in the relationship and how are we cultivating that relationship? I basically ended up realizing that I took a very different approach where it's I felt that I need to work on myself. I need to develop myself. I need to get rid of all my insecurities, my needs, my wants, and my attachments. And so does my partner. And then my partner can also do the work, and then we can be one, because we are a reflection of one another, and therefore there shouldn't be any problem. But now here's what I was very unconscious to. I didn't know that I had a list of expectations, and basically I didn't know that I had these desires, expectations that I felt like I needed to be met from the other partner. And I would always be like, you know what? It's not me. I'm working on myself. It was very blind to me. And it was more like, you have these expectations, but you're not working on yourself enough in order for you to not have those expectations. And I feel like a lot of people may be doing this and they don't even know that. So if you're in a relationship right now, I want you to check in with yourself and see, are you communicating the needs that you want to have met that you feel like you can't meet yourself, and in a healthy way? And also, are you talking about these things with your partner? Are you sharing what they may be repressing or holding on to that they aren't communicating to you? And it's as simple as that. And we're going to talk about the new paradigm of how you can shift this and what I really discovered in my life in terms of, I first used to see relationships as, and this may not make sense, but if you understand it, as 1 + 1 = 1. Like you are one entity, but it's almost like two people are one and they're coming together to create this one entity. And with that, I feel like there's a lot of miscommunication that happens. Now what I really understand is it's actually 1 + 1 = 3. Now let me explain. If you and your partner are working on each other, but working on yourselves to develop yourselves, to become the most secure, to become the most best versions of yourselves, then you see this third entity, which is the actual relationship, which is what you do now is you communicate what you each need from one another. You communicate what isn't being met. And this can be in the form of love languages. This can be in the form of certain expectations that you may have that you feel that the other person should provide for you. And you can basically create boundaries here where it's like, you know what, I'm willing to meet this expectation of yours after someone has communicated to you, but I can't meet this, or I'll try to meet this. So you're not in this place where you're not communicating, and you kind of know that you're coming from a place of giving love rather than focusing on what do they need to do for you in order for you to receive what you need and where your needs aren't being met. So it's kind of like a 1-2 punch where you do the work on yourself, but you also do the work on the relationship in terms of what their needs are, and you communicate, and you come from this place of being completely loving. You come from this place of giving them exactly what they feel they need that they can't give themselves in a very mature way, in a very healthy way, in a way where you communicate and you talk to one another. And you understand that there's just 3 entities that comes between you, your partner, and the actual relationship. And that third entity is something that you want to put energy into. Now I want to bring it back to the fear of commitment. And I really want to understand that the fear of commitment actually does not exist objectively. Now, if you think about it from a very pragmatic point of view, you are always committed to something. Now, if you're in a relationship and you're afraid of being with somebody, you're afraid of losing them, or you're afraid of, completely committing to them and kind of having them in this place where you feel that you can't trust them to give you exactly what you need, you are committed to your freedom. You're committed to not having a deep, profound, loving relationship where you can have safety and security and intimacy to fully express yourselves in a way that you want to. You're committed to that. You're always committed to the opposite of what you think you're not committed to. There's always a commitment. So there's no real actual phobia, or there's no real actual fear of commitment. It's just your lack of awareness on whether you should be committed to the person you want because you feel safe enough, because you feel you're going to be hurt, or you're committed to feeling safe and secure within yourself by separating yourself and not keeping them connected to you in a way that you know your needs are going to be met. And it's as simple as that. So the old paradigm really is modeling the behaviors of unsuccessful relationships based off of the other person just asking for their needs to be met without communicating them, and also without their needs being met in a way where like both partners or both parties are happy. And I feel like this is where a lot of people have a lot of problems because they can't commit to people because they don't feel safe in themselves. So what you can start to do is you can start to look at your relationships. You can look at the partnerships that you have. You can look at the business relationships that you have. You can see like, is there a lack of trust underlying what I'm doing or what I'm saying? Is there kind of this tonality of like, I'm not really sure, but I really want to be with this person. I just don't know how to do it. So begin to check in with yourself and create awareness that, are you afraid of something? Are you afraid of losing your freedom? Are you afraid of feeling trapped? Are you afraid of the other person almost smothering you with this inability for you to be who you want to be because you feel like there's unconscious expectations of perfectionism that you feel that you'll never meet? And with that being said, you have to understand that you can now reframe this scenario and situation, understand that there's this third entity that where you may not be communicating the needs that you need from the other person. And there may be a large aspect of it that you need to work through for you to feel secure to even have this conversation. But you can talk to your partner. You can be like, hey, listen, 1 + 1 is 3. It's me. I'm going to work on myself. I also, it's not from an expectation point of view, but I also would like for you to work on yourself and to develop yourself. And I want you to have those values. And a primary healthy relationship is built on similar values, or enough similar values where you guys can meet eye to eye and see that, are you focused on growth? Are you focused on honesty? Are you focused on radical responsibility? Are you focused on being very communicative when you need to? And then you kind of establish the boundaries of, okay, what is this relationship? What does it look like as a separate entity outside of you two, where you can now begin to fill it up, almost like fill in the cups of what needs to be filled for the other person to fully feel unconditionally loved. And if you can do that, if you can meet their love languages, if you can allow yourself the freedom to communicate exactly what you need, you can begin to change the paradigm on your relationship, and you can begin to let go of this fear of commitment, and also begin to understand that that fear of commitment is you losing something, but you have to understand the cost of what you're losing by not being able to fully commit to a certain decision, or not being able to fully commit to a certain partner that you know is perfect for you. That cost is going to outweigh your inability to make decisions and outweigh the irrational thoughts that you think are going to stop you, or you're going to be controlled, or you're going to be smothered to a degree where you can't fully be yourself in the relationship. So I hope this helps. I hope you understand that there are really two different paradigms of relationships. I understand that we primarily have been given a script of how relationships should be based off of what we've seen in the past. And we have to now begin to create awareness around that and begin to see that that relationship isn't really working out. Why would I want to model my relationship or our relationship after what we're seeing? And we can't blame or victimize ourselves. We have to have complete responsibility in the fact that, you know what, we've been running the script ourselves. And it's time for us to take responsibility to shift that script and create a relationship that you know is mutually beneficial, that is safe, where you can now dive into your feelings, your insecurities, feel exactly what you need to feel, and understand that you're not going to lose the freedom that you think that you have, because you really don't even have freedom if you feel like you're going to lose it. If you feel that you need to be running away or you need to be freezing and not making decisions, that's not freedom. There's a massive cost to this. And you have to understand that you making a decision actually is the freedom. So with that being said, I hope this video makes sense to you. I hope you understand that relationships are something that you have to develop and work on with communication, and understand that it's something that you can fully be committed to if you know that your needs are also going to be met if you vocalize them. And if they've been reciprocated in a way where you know that your partner trusts and can understand where you're coming from, where your conditioning is basically asking you or causing you to do this, and from that all coming from a place of love. I hope you understand that this paradigm of relationships where people aren't committed to situations or aren't committed to people can really be shifted by just communication and by having general awareness of where am I getting the knowledge from of how I should behave in a certain relationship, and really analyzing that. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this really added value to you, and I hope you can see that we can begin to look at relationships in a new way. And if you have any questions or need any sort of guidance around this, please leave me a comment and let me know what I can do better and how I can improve and how I can communicate in a way that it's structured and it makes sense to you guys. And it allows you to take practical steps for you to shift aspects of your life that really allow you to have a lot more true inner peace and true acceptance within yourselves and your relationships. My name is Manny. Please hit the like button if you like this video. If you would like to subscribe, please subscribe. And I would love to continue to put content out that allows people to see who they can really become and allows people to shift aspects of their lives that may just be a small shift. Maybe something small that I've said may help you shift something in your life, in your relationship, and it will compound over time. That being said, thank you so much. Have a great day.